And it appears that we're live. Copying the link to drop for the patrons right now. Hello everybody, I am Bear with bearindependent.com. By popular demand, so many of you have asked for the brief. Well, here it is. We're going to be doing this Monday, Wednesday, Friday to the best of my ability, and we will be doing our best to keep it brief. What's up, Militant Roots? So with that, we'll go ahead and get started. Quick shout out to all the patrons. Patreon.com, search for Bear Independent. Thank you for supporting the show. I wouldn't do this without you, boys and girls. You guys are the best. So let's go over here. We're gonna click this button and OBS. Best content, worst production value on the internet. 4OCT21 Intel Brief, focusing particularly today on infrastructure, supply chains, and food. We're also going to talk about Robert Kiyosaki talking about potential collapse in October, which for those who aren't playing along in the home game, it's October, sweetheart. Let's see what happens. Labor shortages, higher shipping costs, and global supply chain disruptions, combined with preemptive consumer surge before the holiday season, spells higher prices and sparser shelves. It's comparable to 2020, but many companies are not quite so blindsided this time, which is a good thing. We'll get into that. Ironically, forethinking businesses and consumers are piling on huge demand and leading to bursting ports. This is because the just-in-time logistics system is turning into the just-in-case logistics system, meaning that retailers, wholesalers, suppliers, vendors, everybody is having to carry more inventory. And if you can't get the inventory, or you're ordering more inventory than you normally would so that you can hedge your bets against an unreliable supply chain, that puts an even greater demand on the supply chain itself. A backlog in the port of Savannah, Georgia is only the latest jam in the system. July to August, their stored containers increased from 70,000 to 85,000. Between 20 and 26 ships have been idling in the ocean outside the port during recent weeks. Imports to this specific port have increased 30% year over year. The effect is not confined to the United States. Supply chain problems are reported in multiple larger economies. We're going to touch on that in a moment, and are expected to continue after the immediate effects of the virus and its variants. Yay! Also, shout out to the Dance Monkeys for assisting in the development of this brief. Intel at bearindependent.com is where you can send your intel, your eyewitness reporting, as well as your silver linings. A snapshot from a member of the Bear Nation, quote, "Just went to a small town Dollar General in Kentucky, and man, the shelves are almost empty. No gallon distilled or purified water. Most towels and toilet paper are gone. Most deodorant is gone. Nasal spray and Flonase gone." So I asked, knowing the answer, quote, "Do you know when you might get some more nasal spray?" Quote, "Also, bro, what's up with your obsession with nasal spray?" I mean, I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. It just seems a little weird that you're preoccupied with nasal spray. Quote, "Honey, we are not sure if we'll get another truck next week or what might be on it, or if we get another truck at all, to be honest." End quote. And so, of course, you've got links to the articles we're about to dive into in the description, both on YouTube and on Patreon. Things to consider here are that there are some wise moves that one can make considering this information. Advice for businesses and consumers, and for those struggling: plan ahead and be wise with your now inflated dollars. Economically speaking, the power of the US dollar is on the decline, has been since November of last year. I can't really correlate those two things. It's almost like something happened in November of last year, and then steadily the dollar has been decreasing since that time. Now, causation does not equate to correlation. Roger that, I understand that, but it's almost as if something happened last October of 2020, and since then the efficacy of the US dollar has been decreasing greatly. The upside to this is that businesses and consumers are thinking ahead and are getting prepared a little more than before. That's a good sign, comma, it's going to tax the supply chain logistics. Do we still have a live stream? Oh, thank you so much, YouTube, for allowing us to have a live stream. By the way, what's up, Bug Dude 53? Jeep! Exclamation point! Exclamation point! Roger that. If you find this brief valuable, please share it with somebody. We are in a constant battle against the YouTube algorithmic robots, and most days it's not a battle I particularly care to engage in. So I would appreciate it if you could share this with somebody you think needs to see it. Facebook is down globally. Great to know. Thanks, David. Robert Kiyosaki from newsy-today.com. Robert Kiyosaki, this is Mr. Rich Dad Poor Dad, predicts October financial market collapse and gives advice. Now, unfortunately, many years ago, we entered into a phase of existence where tweets on Twitter became news. And as much as I disagree with that, we are going to look at some tweets from Twitter. Robert Kiyosaki, the best words, tremendous, believe it, published a tweet last Sunday in which he warned that according to him, there will be a big crash in the financial markets due to fixed income and short-term securities issued by the Federal Reserve and the United States Department of Treasury. Why do we care what this guy has to say? I don't know. He's a billionaire who knows a lot about real estate investing, is connected with a whole bunch of people in the financial markets and the financial system, and has helped, I don't know, tens of thousands of other people become millionaires through his strategies. He doesn't know everything, but he certainly knows something. The writer of Rich Dad Poor Dad noted that both the stock market, gold, silver, and even Bitcoin could be affected with strong price drops during the month of October. Therefore, the advice that Kiyosaki gave was to use cash to carry out any trade after the crash of the markets that he predicts, because according to him, when that great collapse occurs, it will be a good opportunity to buy. So we see a guy that knows a thing or two about money, A, predicting a crash, B, advocating liquidity. I talk all the time about how debt is a bad thing. I think he would agree. So murder your debt. How do I do that? Dave Ramsey. Just do Dave Ramsey things. But also liquidity, having cash on hand. Understanding that the U.S. dollar is losing its purchasing power, has been losing its purchasing power in certain areas as much as 30%. Certain purviews as much as 30% over the last 12 months. The U.S. dollar is in decline. And here's the tweet. Giant stock market crash coming October. Why? Treasury and Fed short of T-bills. Gold, silver, Bitcoin may crash too. Cash best for picking up bargains after crash. Not selling silver, gold, Bitcoin, yet have lots of cash for life after stock market crash. Stock's dangerous. Careful. Also, I think he's kind of Asian, and I'm not trying to be racist at all, but tweeting in that fashion just accentuates your Asianness. In another tweet posted Monday, Kiyosaki is sure not to trust the financial institutions of the United States or Wall Street, especially for cases such as the recent scandal of senior officials of the Federal Reserve who invested in a personal capacity in the same type of shares as those acquired by the entity, which reported large profits. Quote, "We would go to prison for what they did," said the American businessman born in Hawaii, noting that he prefers to bet on gold, silver, and Bitcoin. And you have the remainder of the article here that you can continue to read if you like. The link is in the description. From Yahoo Finance, we see here, grocery store shortages comparable to 2020. Are you prepared for a lack of supply during the holidays? I am. Praise the Father, I am. I'm also prepared for a lack of supply during the whatever, because we have been preparing for this going on 4 years now, and I have been into preparedness going on for 15 years or so now. A systemic collapse is something that we have been talking about here for years, and unfortunately, it looks like we may be getting there. I very much so would like normalcy, whatever that means to you, to continue without any major hiccups or speed bumps on the road of life. It doesn't look like that's the way things are going to be. So, one should be prepared. And how you should do that, what you should do if you're entirely new to preparedness or you need some pointers, we have an entire playlist here on the Bear Independent YouTube page called The Prepper Classroom, where I've laid it all out step by step using a whiteboard. There's even the prepper notebook that you can get that allows you from bearindependent.com that allows you to fill in the blanks on all of that. But the classroom, all that content is free here on YouTube. If you don't know what to get or how to get it or how much or why or who or what, all of that is in the Prepper Classroom playlist here on YouTube. From the article Yahoo Finance, while it's still unclear whether the Delta variant will put a damper on holiday celebrations, according to the Wall Street Journal, some executives are preparing for U.S. consumers to have larger gatherings than they did last year. Good. You should have much larger gatherings than you did last year. You should stand in your front yard and salute anybody who comes by with any type of badge or authority and let them know that they are number one with you. I would use not the first, not the second, the third digit on either hand. I would raise that to the sky and salute them and let them know, yes, I'm going to have as many people over for Thanksgiving as I damn well please. While Thanksgiving, back to the article, is still over 2 months away, some retailers started shopping for turkeys much earlier this year. In fact, the U.S. supermarket chains began buying up turkeys, spices, stuffing, and cranberry sauce last winter to avoid the possibility of empty shelves during their busiest time of year. From increased disruption in global supply chains, labor shortages, as well as higher costs for shipping containers and fuel, supply chain issues have been a persistent issue since the onset of the pandemic. Demand has also been higher than expected for many retailers, with monthly sales up 14% from 2 years ago and 3% from last year, according to the data from research firm IRI. Supermarkets are also receiving as little as 40% of what they order, compared to 90% pre-pandemic, executives have said, meaning that they ordered 100 units of something, they're lucky to receive 40 units of something. Because of this, Wall Street Journal also noted that the retailers are rethinking their strategy. Some are carrying fewer flavors or sizes, selling different brands, and gathering inventory when possible. Quote, "We locked down turkeys in the third week of February," said Jeff Culhane, Senior Vice President of Merchandising for Tops. Grocery industry officials warn that shoppers may not find everything they need when it comes to brand, flavor, or size for Thanksgiving and Christmas meals. Fabulous. From eatthis.com, shoppers are noticing these 9 shortages at their local grocery stores. And of course, we have the quintessential image of bare shelves here. B-A-R-E. I get the question all the time, how do you spell Bear Independent? You kind of self-select out at that point if you can't spell Bear Independent. I'm a B-E-A-R, not a B-A-R-E. That's a different kind of channel. I think that's like an OnlyFans channel. Not here. And then independent, there's 0 A's in the word independent. So shortages of beloved products at grocery stores are pretty much to be expected nowadays. One shopper at Facebook put it, the shelves have been bare off and on for about 2 years. Blah, 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 blah. I have a running list of things I want to have on hand for holiday baking, and I'm buying a couple of items each week if they are in stock, one shopper explains. Juice products. Shortages. Bottled water. Shortages. Bread. Shortages. All right, so let's take a different tack on here. Juice products. I'm not so good at making juice. I can make juice with corn, yeast, water, and cook it at about 175 degrees. And the juice that comes out of that juice maker's pretty dang good. You can also run your truck with it. Bottled water. You should stock bottled water, and not necessarily bottled water, but water in general. You should have multiple ways to get water out of the ground, or have multiple sources for water, not just municipal water, because supply chain logistics, and as there continues to be a decline of this fragile system, the infrastructure will fail, and the money and the people to fix said infrastructure are going to become more and more scarce. So have multiple ways to acquire water and have lots and lots of water storage. Most preppers suck at water storage. Be better. Bread. This is easy. Wheat and corn and a grinder and some kind of yeast or a sourdough starter and some of that water you stored and a little bit of salt and a little bit of sugar, which hopefully you have buckets of salt and buckets of sugar. You have bread. Is it as good as nature's own butter bread? Arguably better. It's much more work, but Read Genesis chapter 3. From now on, you will eat your bread by the sweat of your brow, not by the shelf of your grocery store. Pasta. Pasta is just dry bread in strange shapes. That's all it is. And maybe you add some egg yolks to it. Egg yolks from where, Bear? From your chickens that are running around in your backyard. You know, and in a lot of residential neighborhoods, you can have up to 6 laying hens. No roosters, but you don't want roosters anyway because they're noisy, they're ornery, and they don't lay eggs. Toilet paper. Now this one's kind of a thing. You should stock lots of toilet paper and maybe have a rag and a way to wash your filthy hands afterwards. Yeah, sanitation is another thing that most preppers ignore or is not even on their radar. Paper towels, same thing. Lunchables. Apparently Lunchables are falling by the wayside. Go old school. Put a sandwich in a brown paper sack with an apple and you're good to go. Pumpkins. Grow them. Grow them in your garden, which you should have because you're into preparedness. And meat. Just general category of meat. There's a scarcity of meat. Not only because globally has meat been vilified for global warming and blah, 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 blah. Everybody's worried about cow farts, but also because meat can be a bit daunting to get into on the preparedness side of things. Freeze-dried meat is very expensive. Canned meat is still fairly expensive. And says the guy who's got sheep and cows in his front yard and chickens running around everywhere. It's a little labor intensive and a little resource intensive to get started with it. But we started our sheep flock with 4 sheep and have had 30-ish earlier this year. Gave away 2 starter flocks and have eaten 3 of them in the last 2 weeks. So I'm not terribly concerned about meat, but it is something that you should be thinking about. And to everybody who says, I'll just walk into the woods and go hunting for my meat. Yeah, you and everybody else, Cletus. Good luck with that. From todayuknews.com, do we still have a live stream? Are we being allowed to do the things? We are being allowed to do the things. Oh, thank you, YouTube masters. What's up to everybody in the chat? Militant Roots, Stalwart Peacekeeper. What's up, brother? Loomph, what's up, sister? Chad, Matthew Goza, Hans, Brad. Appreciate y'all. Click the thing. TodayUKNews.com. Festive shortages as supply lines struggle. Items running low. And here we have the ubiquitous picture of multiple trucks or lorries, as they're known across the pond, lined up, sitting, doing nothing. Supermarket shelves in some stores have been looking a little bare in recent weeks because of a combination of import issues and a lack of HGV drivers. Delays have hit shipping around the globe, and the UK is short of 100,000 truck drivers and around 10,000 warehouse operatives. Now, the UK is just not that big. You're telling me there's not 100,000 people that know how to drive trucks there? What has happened? Or, hold on, tinfoil hat. Or is this the perfect storm so that Elon's self-driving trucks can take over and deliver? I don't know, maybe. Combined with import delays, it means shoppers are facing difficulties getting what they need in the run-up to Christmas, reports Bristol Live. And it goes on from here. It lists meat, beer, and soft drinks. Beer you can make at home along with your ethanol truck fuel. And soft drinks you don't need. They're terrible for you. Fruit and veg, you can grow that in your backyard. Pasta, we talked about pasta. That's just bread by another name. Bottled water, we talked about water. Computer games and game consoles. You don't need these things. Your kids don't need these things. You need to get some new hiking boots and a shovel and go for a walk with a rucksack and dig in your backyard and plant some food. Toys. Again, toys. How many toys do you really need? I mean, let's be honest here. We could get really crafty. You could become pseudo-Amish and get a block of wood and carve a little horsey for your daughter. Toys, they're nice to have. They're not a need to have. Also, get your fat ass off of your couch and go outside and do something. Furniture. Oh, about that couch. You don't need it. You shouldn't be sitting on it anyway. Also, if you're Amish, you can make your own furniture. So that's a potential option for you. You could forsake all the normalcy of our modern day system, get a horse and buggy, put a little agricultural placard on the back of it, shave your beard, let your hair grow, get some suspenders and a straw hat, and you're good to go. Handled. From the WallStreetJournal.com. Port logjams reach Savannah as container ships idle off the coast of Georgia. A flotilla of vessels. Flotilla. I love the editorializing that happens in some of these articles. It's like there's a whiteboard full of words that they hope to be able to use in an article one day, and somebody got really excited and took a red marker and was able to scratch a line right through flotilla. Boom, nailed it. The flotilla of vessels exceeds 20 ships at the fourth largest gateway for seaborne imports in the Estados Unidos. And this article is quite in-depth, actually, but I like this quote right here from Griff Lynch, the executive director of Georgia Ports Authority. Quote, "We have seen this transition from just-in-time in supply chains to just-in-case, and that is significantly changing our environment." We talked about this at the opening of the brief, that because of the lack of reliability in the supply chain currently, you have to order more inventory. You have to be able to carry more inventory to weather the bare spots in your supply chain. We are going through this at Refuge Medical. We have to carry way more inventory right now just to be able to have it on hand to fill our orders, because I used to be able to order Quick Clot, for example, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, no problem. Have it there Tuesday, Thursday, Sunday when it comes to shipping. I could order it whenever I wanted it. Now, I'm lucky to get Quick Clot every 2 months. Okay, so got to carry 2 months worth of Quick Clot on the shelf instead of 2 days worth of Quick Clot on the shelf. And I don't know if you've priced Quick Clot lately. It ain't cheap, and it doesn't cost me much less than what you get to buy it for retail at. Back to the article. "Business is booming and e-commerce is booming," he said, Griff Lynch. "We have seen this transition," we just talked about that, "because of all this extra freight being imported. It's creating a backlog from the ship side to the dock side to warehouses and across the whole supply chain." Now, we also know there's somewhere between 80 and 90 ships in a flotilla off the, come on, brain, the West Coast in the Pacific Ocean. Port of Los Angeles is having major issues there as well. They've gone to round-the-clock receiving 4 days a week, I believe, in extended hours the other 3 days of the week. But we are having the same issues here in the United States as far as a lack of truck drivers, which I don't frankly understand. Where did all the truck drivers go? Well, it's because they're getting paid to sit at home. 1 Timothy 5 verse 8, "He who does not work has denied the faith and is worse than an infidel." That couch that you're sitting on, you don't need it. Get off your butt and go to work. The Guardian, how the supply chain crisis affecting 6 big economies. And this article goes in depth, but it's interesting here, rather than looking at the particulars, the micro of the effects on 6 big economies, let's look at which 6 big economies we're talking about here. So if you're playing along in the home game, note the nations that we're discussing. United States, China, Germany, Russia, the United Kingdom, and Australia. Now, as I've said before, and will say again, war at its most basic level is a battle for resources. And as resources start tightening up, if they become critically unavailable for any of these 6 great international world stage players, somebody's going to have to do something. The United States is suffering from a labor shortage and about to go into an economic collapse. China is suffering for a lack of energy and fuel. Germany is suffering from a lack of fuel. Russia is suffering from a lack of, drumroll please, fuel. They're also having issues with labor. The United Kingdom is having issues with labor. Australia is having issues with labor. So, resources. This is a game of resources. And fixed hard resources, something like fuel, that's the type of thing that not maybe people go to war over. People do go to war over. And so the indicator here for me is not one more story about the global economic crisis, although it certainly is that. It's more of what is the overarching macro posture of these great nations around the world. And the short answer is everybody is trying to make do and not sure if they can, because a lack of energy, a lack of labor, a lack of financial mobility, of solvency, frankly. a lack of fuel. Major issues. These are major issues. And so at some point in the near future, I imagine we will go from proxy wars with Russia and China to actual wars with Russia and China. I don't think that'll be tomorrow, but I do think that it's one more indicator on the pathway of, hey, this is coming. And so when you take that, in my mind, the fact that we will have another international war, say within the next 4 years, and supply chain logistics suck, and the value of your dollar sucks, and there's a potential collapse on the horizon, says at least one very smart guy when it comes to money, and really, frankly, lots of very smart guys and girls when it comes to money have been saying this for the last few months more and more and more loudly. What does that mean for us? Well, in the preparedness space, that means, at least for me, what does it mean for my household? Any liquidity that I have is going to be spent on hard assets, whether this is trucks or equipment or land or more long-term food storage or a hand pump for my well or solar panels or fuel storage or medical items or seeds and fruit trees and bushes. Tangible items, things that I can lay my hands on, because rather than having my money sitting in a bank, watching it lose its value every day, I would rather pull it out of the bank. And I am by no means a financial expert. Okay, I'm barely financially responsible, frankly. But rather than letting it sit in the bank and be devalued day over day over day by people that make decisions that are way outside of my control, I would rather put that money back into my hands where I can do things that matter with it. So that's my takeaway from this brief based upon everything that we've just talked about. Now, if you've made it through the live stream thus far, I'd like to invite you, if you're on Patreon and you're a male, not identify as a male, and you're a male, we will be doing Men's Group Monday tonight on Patreon at 7 p.m. Central. So look for a link that'll be posting on Patreon. If you're not a patron, www.patreon.com, patreon.com, search for Bear Independent. There's also a link in the description. You can come see us there. Yeah, it's $5 a month. I'm unapologetic about it. There is way more content on Patreon than there is on YouTube. So if you like the Bear Show, there's way more Bear Show on Patreon than there is on YouTube. So shout out once again to the patrons. I appreciate y'all. We haven't been booted yet. Thanks, Stalwart Peacekeeper. Next, refugemedical.com. Truth in advertising. I own this company, and I run this company with a bunch of people that I love who are absolute badasses. Handmade, made in America, guaranteed forever, exceeds military specification. We have 26 saves with these kits in the last 2 years. 26 lives have been saved that we know of, from the battlefields of Afghanistan to the mean streets of Chicago and everywhere in between. These kits have saved people's lives. Also, most of us, if we don't wear body armor for a living, tend to not see the value in having a bleeding control kit or an individual first aid kit. We've saved more lives with these kits from motor vehicle accidents than anything else. It's not guns and tanks and bombs and planes. It's not muggers and dope fiends. It's motor vehicle accidents. More people's lives have been saved from motor vehicle accidents, specifically one particular modus of injury, which is the femur breaks in the car crash. The big bone in your thigh breaks, squirts out the inside of your thigh, and partially or completely severs your femoral artery. You got about 120 seconds to figure out how you're going to fix that, or you bleed to death. And praise the Father, we have had many, many, many saves, over a dozen saves with these kits in a motor vehicle setting. So you're aware, this is the pink girly kit. This is a Bearfac in pink camo, and they're a limited run. There's a few left in the store. Talking about the fall holidays coming up, the winter holidays coming up. If you think your wife might like this, this is the pink Bearfac. This is the pink Hag kit. Hotel Alpha Golf. I would not tell your wife that it's a Hag kit, because when I think of Hag, I don't think of helpful and girly, which is what it was named for. I think of like an old crone standing over a giant, what do you call that, a cauldron with like a big spoon stirring it, bubble, bubble, toil and trouble. But anyway, this is the Hag kit. It's got a pocket out here for a SWAT tee that it comes with. You can also fit a soft tee in there, tourniquet, Velcro here, and then all your boo-boo stuff is on the inside here. You got your band-aids, your gloves, your Neosporin, your duct tape, gauze, medical tape, all the cool stuff is inside of there. And it's got these little loopies here so you can tie this to something, zip tie it to something, use a carabiner to stick it to something, snap link, whatever you prefer. And this one here, the Bear Fac, is available in all kinds of colors, not just pink. Coyote tan, red, black, gray, multicam, Marpat, woodland, OD green, woodland, and of course it's Molly compatible, PALS webbing on it. And did I mention handmade, made in America, guaranteed forever. And this is the SOB kit, the small of the back kit. This thing rocks. You got your tourniquet, cat tourniquet on the outside, little tiny pouch. Pop this open, pull your pouch out, and then inside of here in this little tiny compact package, this whole thing weighs as much as one loaded AR magazine, by the way. Inside of here, you've got a decompression needle, a Sharpie, you got your gloves, you've got combat gauze in here. There's your combat gauze. You've got a compact pressure bandage, compact chest seals, nasal pharyngeal airway, compressed gauze for wound packing. Everything you need to work the March algorithm is inside of this little tiny pouch. And it goes perfectly in the small of your back or on your plate carrier or on the side of your dog, by the way, because we've got a lot of people with working dogs who've said, I want a kit for my dog. And the SOB is a lightweight compact kit that'll work pretty much anywhere. And it comes in all the cool guy colors too. This one here is in woodland. So, Refuge Medical. Oh, and then y'all been asking, this is the Cub kit. It's a rip-away kit. Hold on, I grabbed the wrong thing. Rip-away kit. And the Cub kit has got your shears and your tourniquet on the outside. Pop this open. You got quick clot, nasal pharyngeal airway, duct tape, Sharpie, gloves, compressed gauze, SWAT T tourniquet, a really awesome Olays bandage right here, 5x9 gauze pads back here, everything you need to work the March algorithm. North American Rescue, all these components, top of the line. Like I said, badass stuff. We appreciate you supporting our small businesses. And lastly, if you're still hanging with me, lastly but not leastly, if you got some of this stuff, or you want to get some of this stuff, and you're like, cool story, Bear Man, but I don't know how to use any of that crap, refugetraining.com. So refugetraining.com is also my company, and it's also run by a bunch of badasses whom I love, who do a phenomenal job of training people in the world of TACMED, tactical medicine. And we've got rave reviews from people who've come to this class. It's an absolutely wonderful class. The level 1, responder 1 class will teach you the entirety of the March algorithm. Massive bleeding, airway, respiratory, circulation, head injury and hypothermia, and then everything else. It also touches on situational awareness. It also touches on how to interface with first responders, how to call 911, what does that look like? And then begins to touch on some improvised bleeding control as well. That's the level 1 class. If you've never taken a tactical medicine class before, that's for you. Why do you need bleeding control? Because it's the #1 cause of preventable death in the United States. Okay, like I said, you sever your femoral artery in a car wreck, you got 2 minutes to figure out how to fix that problem. And if you don't have a tourniquet handy and you don't know how to use the tourniquet, you're probably not going to fix that problem. You're probably going to bleed out. So that's level 1 class. And then level 3 here is force on force. Building on the level 3 class, we do a cursory overview of the level 1 for about 45 minutes, and then you get immediately into scenario-based training, active shooter response, force on force, home invasion, coffee shop, in your vehicle, the whole nine. And it's done with blue guns, and it's done with role players and crisis actors. It's an absolutely awesome kit, or awesome class. We had one guy, he came to class in Philadelphia, and he said, I've been to 4 or 5 of these classes, TCCC classes, Tactical Combat Casualty Care classes, with my department. He's a law enforcement officer. And he said, this is the best class I've ever taken. This was awesome. Well, we appreciate you. So you got level 1 in Atlanta, Georgia, level 1 in Birmingham, Alabama, level 1 in Charlotte, level 1 in Orlando. And then you've got a level 3 in Atlanta, Georgia, and a level 3 in Charlotte. So if you'd like to train on this stuff, come see us. And we get the question all the time, hey, Bear Man, but is it safe to travel? To which I would respond with, we're traveling. We're coming to you. If you're within 3 hours of one of these class dates, come see us. We've had people in Dallas drive from as far away as New Hampshire and Alaska to come to a class in Dallas. And they absolutely loved it, did not regret it. So, shout out to everybody. Also, if you're in a giving mood, we are deployed in Duloc, Louisiana right now following Hurricane Ida. You can check us out at grindstoneministries.com for that. I appreciate you hanging with me. I'm going to start doing this thing where at the end of the brief, I'll be talking about all the different things that we have going on the Grindstone end and on the business side and on the Patreon side. And so, but Bears are tremendous. Geez, you know it. You know none of your beeswax. You know it's tremendous. I appreciate y'all very much. I hope you enjoyed the triumphant return of the brief. Like I said, as my schedule permits, we'll be doing this Monday, Wednesday, Friday. What time of day? I don't know. I intended to do this morning, and then frankly, I realized about midday when one of the dance monkeys texted me and was like, boss, you gonna do that thing where you read the news? And I was like, son of a biscuit, I guess I'll do that. So here I am doing that. Dulac, whatever, CC, we'll see you there. And if you're on Patreon, we just posted some of the needs in Dulac as well. And like I said, grindstoneministries.com. Y'all are the best, Bear Nation. I appreciate you. Please do me a favor, as Anthony Frizella likes to say, Mr. 75 Hard, Mr. First Form, pay the fee. If you found some value in what we did here today, share this with somebody. I would appreciate it greatly. It helps us grow the channel. It helps us in our ongoing battle against the YouTube algorithmic robots. Frankly, when the sweet-smelling videos, sweet-smelling roses video drops in a couple of days, I don't even know if I'll have a channel anymore. We will see. In the meanwhile, subscribe on Patreon and subscribe to the alternate channel, Blue Collar President. And we'll see ya when we see ya. Bless y'all, Bear Nation. Shaloha.